Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Earthbound Beginnings. In the last part, we got Teddy to join our party, and now we're gonna do some stuff with him. As you can see, I grinded him up to levels that I said I would, and as I'll show you momentarily after showing off all the PSI that Ninten and Anna have, you'll see I actually got him some equipment, a magic coin, a gold ring, and I didn't buy him a weapon from the store. Actually here in the well, the next treasure chest after this point contains a sword, which is like his second best weapon, I think. So yeah, anyway, we're back in the well because you might remember this dragon. We can fight it now. Feeling Ninten's presence, the dragon awoke. You must defeat me to earn my musical note. The dragon is hard if you don't know what to do with him. He is powerful and has quite a few PSI. But the best ways around him are, first off, use PSI block, which prevents him from casting any of his attacks. After that, he only has his physical attacks, which still hurt. The way around that, however, is that he's susceptible to PK freeze gamma, which, as I've mentioned, puts you down to critical HP. Meaning, you can kill him in one shot after that. He also has a couple of stat decreasing moves, and I think a stat increasing move of his own, but beyond that, he's not a very hard boss if you know what to do with him. If you don't, he's the hardest boss in the game. Next to, actually, yeah, probably the hardest boss in the game. The dragon crooned his tune without much hesitation. The song went something like this. Ninten remembered the tune. Melody number 6. And with that, we're actually done in Magicant until next part, actually. We'll be back here one last time. But now we're going to teleport back to LA because it's time to head to a certain area. Gonna want to head east of town, actually, back on these dirt paths. Through this point. This will take us to the next area. Which, by the way, the pathway to the next area is actually altered from the Japanese version. There was a lot of more alternate paths you could take, but they ended up leading nowhere, so they just blocked them off in the American version. The next new enemy is a spider, fairly basic. I think he can summon more of him, and he also has a poison needle attack, which, well, poisons you. Surprising, I know, but yeah. Also, I love Teddy's walking animation. He just looks like his arms are spazzing out. Though, actually, speaking of sprites, a fun little fact. In the Japanese version, Ninten actually had a black stripe on his shirt, but they changed it to yellow to mirror his concept art a bit more. And welcome to the healer's house. This is like the second to last healing spot in the game. However, it's also probably the best. He has a bed, and if you talk to him, you can choose the life up option. He'll give you a life up cream. So pretty much if you want to have the best healing items in the game, stock up on them. As I mentioned before, life up creams heal you for for max HP, really. They technically heal for 999, but yeah. Now, actually, you might be wondering at this point, Earthbound aside, why was this game called Mother in Japan? Nintendo wanted to think of the least gamey name they could think of, so they named it after the John Lennon song of the same name. For some reason. Anyway, welcome to Mount Itoi, named after the creator, the essay writer, Shigesato Itoi, who we talked to earlier through that little mine thing that I stepped on 2 parts ago. Either way, next new enemy is a Blue Star Man. They use PSI, particularly a lot of PK Beam. In fact, they know all of them except for PK Beam Omega, so they can instant kill you. So watch out for that. I'm lucky by running into a group of 1. They generally show up in groups of 2 or 3, in which case it can be annoying. Anyway, it's in here actually mounted toy that you can find some very special stuff, like in this chest. Or present. Whatever. We find the Katana, which is Teddy's ultimate weapon. Every ultimate weapon is actually technically found here. Except for Lloyd. I actually forget... Is the air gun his ultimate weapon? Huh. By the way, you're gonna notice really quick coming up, I actually cut back to the beginning of the room because unnecessary battles. Love the music here, though. And in this room, you're just gonna want to head west, by the way. There's nothing really to get at the south, as far as I can recall. Next enemy is a Cerebrum. Cerebrum have almost every single PK attack in the game. High defense and PP as well to make up for that. They're fairly fast and generally can go first very often, but the best way to go around it is to use PK freeze gamma because that'll put them down to minimal HP. Overall, they can be annoying, but if you know what to do, they're not too hard. In fact, I can say for a fact, this area and the next area, which is going to be the outside of Mount Itoi, the enemies go from the difficulty of about a 5 or 6 to a quick 12. On a scale of 10, by the way. Because outside of Mount Itoi, the enemies, for some reason, just were not very well scaled. I forget if it's... I think it's because, actually, Itoi himself actually went, just do whatever. And I know for a fact that in the original Japanese version, the later portions of the game were not playtested much, if at all. Which is why there's just a couple of game-breaking bugs that can actually happen if you don't know what you're doing. Gonna want to head north here, because doing so gets us the Iron Skillet, which is Anna's ultimate weapon. Even stronger than the boomerang. Not by much, but by enough. So I'm just going to give it to her. I don't immediately equip it on her because I wanted to make sure it was stronger than the boomerang first, so I equip it later. But yeah, you'll see it eventually on her. Huh, yeah, wow. Looking it up, Lloyd only has the 2 weapons, the stun gun and the air gun. Guess that's why the plasma and laser beams are there, but that's kind of odd. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is whether or not Mount Itoi's layout was changed in the American version. I can see them not doing that just because the enemies themselves would make up for difficulty, but at the same time... Either way, here we get the Hank Spat, which is Nintendo's ultimate weapon. Gonna put that on because it's downright better than the aluminum bat, no doubt about it. No, I'm just kind of surprised, though. Like, a lot of the weapons in this game are fairly useful. The plastic bat aside, you keep a lot of them on you for a fair amount of time. Now, thinking about it, maybe the reason that the enemies here are so hard is because this is a very non-linear game, as you may have noticed. Like, I knew where I was going because, you know, LP and such. But for a first-time player, back in the 80s, they might not have known where to go, so they probably ended up getting high levels just due to the concept of running around. And welcome to the outside of Mount Itoi. I hate this place! And we immediately start off with a fairly simple enemy, thankfully, Gargoyles. Gargoyles like to throw fire attacks at you, generally. PK Fire, Gamma in specific, and Omega, I think, even. They have high offense and defense stats, which can be annoying, and they have something a couple enemies in this area actually have, the Stone of Origin attack, which pretty much stones you, which you can only heal by going to a healer, as far as I'm aware. Thankfully, there's one coming up, but be careful. And for Earthbound players, like original Super Nintendo Earthbound that we got, Stone Origin is pretty much the equivalent to Diamondization from that game. Next enemy is actually one of my least favorites, Titanians. Their name is obviously slightly a pun off titanium to make up for their to reference their very high defense. They can confuse you, which is actually, well, no, they can puzzle you, which is actually different from confusion. What puzzle does is that you pretty much end up just spending turns daydreaming, meaning you do nothing. The best way around their attacks is to either throw PK Beam attacks at them, PK Freeze Gamma, or to get smash attacks. Love the music here, though. And if you're ever wondering why you can't progress onwards, it's because there are tree trunks that you've seen I've climbed twice now, about to do a third time, which admittedly do blend in a good amount with the background, so they might be kind of hard to spot. I blame the NES's limited color palette on that. And here it is, the last healer's house in the game. Let's talk with the guy. He does everything immediately. You don't even have to pay him for anything. That's nice of them. And let's do a save. Let's check how much money I have. Oh, lordy lord. Oh, wow, that's a lot of money. Now, the thing is, you can progress onwards farther than Mount Itoi, but you won't be able to do much, so let's just take a rest at the equivalent to an inn here. Which they have for some reason, even though we already got healed by the guy. Huh. I'm sure you two would like to be alone. I'll make a few phone calls and wait out here. What? What? Ninten, please stay with me. Girl, we're 12. Silence falls. Would you like to dance? What? Love that song. Why are you two blushing? Let's hurry up and get out of here. So that was the weirdest scene in the game, pretty much. Sorry to bother you two, but did you hear those loud noises? Those noises coming from outside. Not in here, silly. What? 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 R7038, great, that guy's back and upgraded. Alright, let's see if we can take him down. This is not going to end well for us. This, I'm just gonna say right now, is a no-win situation. You cannot physically win. I think if you even hack to the point where you can actually beat him, like get his HP down to 0, nothing happens. Or it could just progress as normal, actually. Huh. Ow. Zap. What the? Well, we found it on the mountain a bit, but what? The tank? Lloyd? Oh, shoot, I missed. No. Fun fact, he actually did hit us with the tank shot, but he also managed to hit the R7038 and actually damage it, but it escaped. Which is actually a plot detail for some reason. Alright, looks like we're all healthy from that, but wait. Where's Teddy? Oh, shit. Love this song here, by the way. Teddy, you alright, buddy? Brute strength's not enough to beat them. I now know that peace can be brought back to us. I believe. Hey Lloyd, now's the time you must fight for yourself. Now it's the weakling's turn. You stay here and wait. Now, there's an interesting thing about this scene that I'll bring up next part, because certain things about this game actually never get full resolution in the Japanese version, but I'll go more over that in the ending. Now, with Teddy injured like that, and Lloyd back in our party, we actually have access to the very end of the game. However, I want to show one little side thing off first. It's not even really much of a secret or Easter egg, it's just kind of there, and it actually gives you a hint on something to do later on. We want to head west of LA and enter this tower that we actually saw on the plane trip way back when. On the roof, you're going to want to check the secondary binoculars. And this is on the island, something sparkles. Well, this is incredibly random. Oh, by the way, I should mention, if you want to do this, you're going to want to go to the LA department store and buy 3 berry tofus. Have you ever tasted strawberry tofu? Yep. If you find some, please buy some for me, please. I'll trade something nice in return. Let's use a berry tofu on him. And for doing that, he gives us something. I'll check what that is in a moment. But he also has 2 workers in here. Abel and Baker. By talking to this guy, and using one on him, he gives us swear words. And by talking to him and using him on it, we actually get a hint towards something we're going to need to do in a very short while. Near the summit of Mount Itoi, deep in the lake, there lies a fantastic robot. I think it still works. That'll come into play momentarily. But with that, I'm actually going to cut back to Mount Itoi. But first, I'm going to do some level grinding on there. Get Nin 10 up to level 35, and everyone else up to their next level after that. It took about 2 days. Not because it took that was not long grinding, it's just because I had to go to school and such as well. Now, as for what the items the guys gave us were, one of them gave us swear words, which expresses our hatred to an enemy. And that doesn't do anything, but it is reusable. Same with the words love, but it just makes awkward situations between you and the enemies. Also doesn't do anything, but it is reusable. And next new enemies are the Mega Borg and the Super Energy. Mega Borgs are interesting enemies. The armor protected from PSI attacks, meaning it pretty much just can block them, has lower damage from them. But it can use PSI attacks pretty well. It uses PK Beam quite a bit. Alpha and Beta in particular, quite a bit. The biggest thing I can say about it is use Freeze Gamma on it, it'll go down pretty quickly. Super Energy is pretty much an upgrade to the Energy Bot we met earlier. It'll restore it or its partner's HP, and when defeated, it explodes. And explode, rather. But the thing is, unlike the other version of it, I think this one can actually kill you very easily if you're at a lower level. Yeah, 57 damage. If I was like level 20 something, that may have actually killed me. Whenever you're in a battle with a super energy, I either recommend you A, run, or B, kill it first, then its partner, unless you can manage to get PK Gamma and a normal attack off, or PK Gamma, PK Freeze Gamma off really quickly. Note, some of the enemies on here you can use PK Beam Gamma on, but some of them you can't. One in particular I recommend you use it on as soon as you can is a Grizzly Bear, because Grizzly Bears are pretty much one of the most dangerous encounters in the game, because they do over 100 damage even at my level. And they have a continuous attack, which means they attack twice. They also have a last blow, which means they can kill you and then die. They're annoying. Either way, the reason you actually needed Lloyd instead of Teddy, and why I had to rest in that house and have Teddy get injured, is because we need to have Lloyd fix this boat. Let's remember what that guy said. At the center of the lake, there lies a fantastic robot. Go down the whirlpool, and you have some really odd-looking things. And we get reused assets from Sweet's Little Factory and Duncan's Factory. Not that I'm complaining, I love this song. Anyway, this area is pretty simple. There's no enemies, just walk left enough and you'll find your way. Though the interesting thing is, we are in fact underneath the lake. These fish here prove that. Though if you hold down the B button, they speed up as well. Because as I mentioned before, the run button in the NES version actually doubles the game's speed. In the GBA version, it actually makes you run, but doesn't affect anything else in the game. But that was just a slight programming oversight, and so I don't entirely blame them on that. Anyway, climb the ladder, and we find a red thing. Those cracks are supposed to be there, right? Alright. Feeling intense presence, the robot came back to life. My name is Eve. I have been waiting for you. My creator was George. He was taken to the end of the universe, then brought back later. I am here to protect you. That is my purpose. What's going on? Oh, Lord. Well, that happened. Eve is a necessary thing you need to get, by the way, but she's awesome. Why? She always gets a first turn, and, well, just take a look at the damage she does to this Mook, which are pretty much just upgraded Mooks that can also use Stone Origin. And like these Eagles, I don't think they can actually steal something, even though I know their check dialogue does. Oh, Lord, almost 1,000 damage. She can do the highest damage in the game. And she's great if you want a level grind. In fact, honestly, if you didn't do my grinding, I recommend you do it now that you have Eve, because it'll make your battles go by a lot more quickly. And with a lot of higher survivability. But since I already did my grinding, I'm going to continue on with Eve in my stead. Or, not in my stead, in my party. Words. Why am I not moving? Oh, I know why, because I was checking my notes. I guess I just forgot to edit that out entirely. Sorry about that. There are certain times where even I forget where to go in some games. That's why I make my notes, but I had to double check, like, am I going the right way? Yeah. Because the thing is with Mount Itoi is that the enemies actually do get stronger, first off, as you progress higher and higher. Meaning when you're at the very tip top, yeah, you're fighting the hardest enemies in the game. But at the same time, since everything looks so the same, or similar, it's really hard to tell where you are in relation to everything. Anyway, next new enemy is a Gigaborg. Borgs just, or Megaborgs just upgrade. They can drop laser beams, though. They're not the highest form of the Gigaborg line, or Megaborg. That's the Omega Borg, which is very threatening. And I'm so glad I didn't run into it. In fact, I didn't run into a lot of enemies. I didn't run into a lot of enemies throughout the game, really. There was a lot that I was surprised I didn't get to show off, like the bison or buffalo. Those are generally, like, things I run into the most for some reason, but not this time. I'm not sure if Eve actually has, like, guaranteed smash attacks, but if she does, that's actually a really good way to make yourself feel powerful. I like her sprite, too. In fact, she's the only fourth party member you can get at any point in time. Anyway, next to enemy is a Star Miner, just an upgraded bomber from Duncan's factory. It likes to use bombs. It can drop super bombs, which I think are bombs that do around 70 to 80 PK fire damage. but nothing too useful. Anyway, before we climb up that rope, we want to head into this little cave here, which immediately takes us off to a cliff. And get, I think, the last treasure chest in the game. It's a sea pendant, which is pretty much the best pendant in the game. I think it protects a little bit from a little bit of everything. I'm just going to give that to Nintendo, because his Earth pendant wasn't really doing much for him. And then we're going to continue on. But I'm going to warn you right now. If you want to do level grinding with Eve in your party, stop and go back here. If you progress any farther, you might not be able to do as you think you would. And with that said, let's progress farther on, shall we? Come on past me. There you go. What the? R7038XX? Oh, Lord. Yeah, it's the same thing. Just upgraded. But now that we have Eve in our party, we might actually stand a chance. I'm also healing because Lloyd's very low on HP, as I noticed. Ow. Well, thankfully, Eve actually blocks you from all of his attacks. Actually, looking at it, he reminds me a lot of Eve in his design right now, given the red shading. In fact, if you ever watch the Mother 1 commercial, have to listen to that admittedly really nice song. There's actually a robot which looks a lot like the R703 series that Nintendo blows up in like one shot, which is completely unrealistic given how they've kicked our asses almost every single time without some additional help. In fact, why did the main villain just send an army of these things at us instead of just one? Unless the AI was just so advanced that it took all of his shit. No, usually this fight's over by now, but for some reason, Eve was dodging everything, which I'll say for a fact is not how you win this. Like the others, this is technically a scripted battle. And I think we'll see right around the next turn. Also, I like how when you damage the certain enemies like the R703 or the later wolf-type enemies, their sprite actually flickers to another version of it. Ow! What? Eve exploded! What? Oh no. Eve. Shit, there goes my grinding. Robot Eve was demolished and no more. Examining the wreckage caused music to start. Nintendo remembered the tune. And with Eve's sacrifice, we have melody number 7. And with that, we had to deal with enemies all the way up to the top of Mount Itoi. Thankfully, I didn't run into anything new. Did run into a group of 2 Gigaborgs, though. That almost didn't end well. Now, this area in specific of Mount Itoi is the one I always forget where to go in because it's so late in and I'm so close to the end of the game that I just can't remember usually. Hey, Gravestone. How you doing? What? Nintendo? Welcome. I always believed that you would find your way here. Your great-grandmother Maria's love was scattered. Scattered in the form of melodies. I have a melody for you. Listen and remember. Melody number 8. Nintendo remembered the tune. The crystal fragments that had broken off stopped glowing and disappeared. And with that, we have all 8 melodies and have access to the end of the game. Which, to trigger, we actually have to head back to Magicant. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 7, we're ending off the game, but I need to show off some minor stuff first, which I'll do at the very start. See you guys then!